the kind of pressure that I felt wasn't more of a male versus female. It was more of a emotional impact of just what people wrote about me. The pressure of people going, she's a nobody, how's she getting the money? Well, she's dating a race driver. That's just because I came out of nowhere. So people are like, who the hell is this woman?
Yeah.
I didn't want to lose my personality and I love my job so much. When I was a first-time parent, I was afraid that it would ruin my image because I'm getting to the age where I have friends dropping dead. I've had moments of panic attacks. I would have these inner feelings of like jealousy, and then I found out I was pregnant. It was very difficult for me. I cried. I had to make the choice.
Hey, and welcome to the Forties Formula, your go-to place for insightful discussions on navigating the 40s and thriving in this transformative decade.
We're your hosts, Jasmin and Amanda, two women that are passionate about exploring the challenges and adventures that come with turning 40 and what lies ahead.
Today on the Forties Formula, I am very excited to be introducing our guest today. She is a racing car driver, Singapore's first female racing car driver. She is an MC, a media personality, a mother of 2 kids, and also a presenter. Today we have Claire Jedrek with us on the Forties Formula. Welcome, Claire.
Welcome.
Thanks, guys, for having me.
Oh, we're so excited. How are you? You've come all the way from Bali just to be here with us in the studio today.
Truth is, I don't know where I am. Nobody knows where I am.
What time zone?
Where I'm going to be. Like, I just kind of leave it up to chance.
You've had quite a dynamic career. You've done a lot of stuff. How have you managed to pivot from one industry to another? How has that been for you?
In my 20s, it was more of the case of a lack of actually planning of what I was going to do and what I wanted to be. In fact, if you told me, what's your 5-10-year plan? I didn't have one. I probably still don't have a massive one, but because I'm married with kids now, there is a slight more organization to that. I think a lot of it, to be honest, now that I've had time to think about it and look back, it's been more of pivoting to survive rather than just by chance. I thought it's by chance, and that's just because I had a lack of confidence. So I was like, well, whatever I do is whatever I do. But the pivoting itself really, like I said, is survival. So I've had a lot of great people around me, what I do. I didn't really know when I first started doing hosting and presenting that was going to be a thing. I knew that I wanted to do mass communication, but there was a lot of random hurdles along the way. And somehow without that education part, like having a degree in it and whatnot, I've actually somehow managed to still be inside it, which is quite amazing. But maybe it's just a sign of the times.
I saw you were a countdown girl.
Yeah.
Wait, what is a countdown girl?
Okay, a deal or no deal girl.
Oh, deal or no deal. That's
Oh my
it. Sorry.
gosh. Okay, I was thinking
All
countdown
the
girl. I was like, is that a New Year's Eve
things.
thing? Yeah.
You know what's great about being in your 40s? I am, and I feel like having kids kind of helped me with this process. I'm a lot less embarrassed about the things that I did or who I was or what I looked like or what I thought. I would never have said that before, but it's part and parcel of how I got here and who I am. And I love looking at all that kitschy like footage and cringy stuff. I love it.
Like,
I love
feel,
it.
It's awesome.
To me, that is zero cringy. To me, that's like the fun fact you bring up at a party. Like, guess what?
I know, but
I
it's
carried the
just
suitcase.
It's just it's a random thing. When I look back, like I had a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun doing it. You know, deal or no deal, and that's like kind of just after or just before I really got into the hosting. And it's just one of those random things somebody offered, and I said, I'm not doing anything for 2 weeks. Sure, let's try.
Why not?
Yeah.
I need to know about the race car driving, though, because I have to say it's an industry I know nothing about, literally zero. And both you and your husband are in it. How did you find it?
I knew zero about it.
Okay, all right. That makes 2 of us then.
The difference between me and my husband is a very well-known race driver here in Asia. He will always tell you that he wasn't the fastest, but he was the most marketable. And that's been the most amazing thing that you can pick out about him, is that he had a plan. He he would put decks together, go find the marketing, and he was very successful in that. Right. He started at the age of like 6 years old, and he's been obsessed with Porsches from 6 years old.
Wait, how do you start race car driving when you're 6-year-old?
Well, he didn't. He did some karting,
Okay.
but it was a lifelong dream. It was like blinkers on a horse. So that was him, his whole life. And I find that really admirable when people have this lifelong one dream.
Yeah.
Like I've never had that, and I still don't. And I used to think, is something wrong with me? Like I don't have a dream, or I don't have a want to do that. But he's been obsessed about it, and he found a way in his, right after he had to do army. So he came from Australia, was living there. Just found his way to get into it. I think he made a bunch of money off doing some projects when he was 24 years old. Sold that off. He was really ambitious at a young age, and then used it and put it into racing. And from there, then got really serious into it. And he had some amazing mentors, which I can't believe people actually gave that time to him. And teaching him things and how to run a business, how to do the marketing, and then he did that way. For me, I'm definitely kind of person who, you put me into anything competitive, and if I want to do it, it's a yes or no. I will then go ahead and thrive. So I wasn't obsessed with cars. I'm still not obsessed with cars. Maybe it's an anticlimax. I'm not. I have certain things I love about it, but I'm not like my husband sending me car links like every 10 minutes or so, literally. I actually started because he offered me a job when he was a friend. He offered me a job. I'd come back in the country after a very bad failed relationship. Wasn't sure what I was going to do, hanging around. I was 30 years old. He said, why don't you commentate this karting championship? But I need you to learn how to drive, because you can't really talk about it
Unless you know it.
unless you know it. And I was like, sure, I'm down for it. And I was at that period in my life where confidence wasn't a thing. It was more of I have nothing to lose. Like I'm at my lowest. I was still finding where I was going to live. Was I going to go back into the media again? I'd given that for a relationship, and I just dived into it. And then I had a lot of interesting peers, a lot of guys around me who told me what I needed to do, what I needed to say, and they were really hard on me. And I really had to change my thinking and thought process to be part of that and to learn to thrive that. And then I think from there, I kind of that's where the first big pivot in my life was, to actually learn, okay, maybe I'm not so bad at this. How do I actually get into a car racing?
Yeah.
You know, and that wasn't any plan to actually become a presenter or something. That was just a random moment. Yeah.
How was it for you working in such a male-dominated environment? Because it's quite different, you know, when you've got other females there with you. But I'm assuming this was predominantly male. What was that like emotionally, mentally? Did you feel like you had to really
Prove yourself.
Exactly.
I think initially, you know, since I've been like 14, 15, I've always taken part in some form of like extreme sport. And growing up in Singapore, there wasn't a lot of opportunities. So I did aggressive inline skating, did like local X Games, a lot of like the competitions, and there was only like 2 females. And so, and that was basically for 10 years of my life over here. It's not a popular sport. It wasn't, it's more popular now. We didn't have facilities. So I was always in the boys' competition, and I was always quite supported by my parents going, go ahead, sure, do it. Yeah. The kind of pressure that I felt wasn't more of a male versus female. It was more of a emotional impact of just what people wrote about me. So it was more of, I think then it was more of learning how to control ego about what people said about me. So maybe there was some confidence in there and some anger. And that was just probably because I was just a bit younger, and I didn't know how to deal with that, of people, the pressure of people going, she's a nobody, how's she getting the money? Well, she's dating a race driver. That's how she got into it. I mean, the fact is, I still had to get in the car. I still had to get on the podium myself. And I think that's just because I came out of nowhere. So people are like, who the hell is this woman? Yeah. And why is she there?
That must have been tough. And I wonder, obviously, the social media aspect now, if you had gone through that then, that would have been even harder to sort of manage.
Over a decade ago, it was just becoming a thing.
Yeah.
Like social media, it only just started, like, you know, having roles as a social media manager, data collection, stuff like this. And it wasn't such a big thing. Yeah, because I came from that generation where there was no media.
Yeah, exactly.
You know
media was a
mean?
magazine.
No, exactly, you know. And it was really difficult at the beginning to wrap my head around it. But to be honest, like I said, my now husband, he really taught me to let go of the ego, to unplug. That's the word he used. And I never forget, unplug from people and unplug, because for him, I think he went through a lot of that.
Yeah.
He went through a lot of just naysayers and who he was and where he came from and his background. A lot of people didn't know where he came from. There's very little of that. And he's quite a private person. And he was like, unplug and you'll just be happy and you'll do your thing.
Yeah.
In hindsight, when you look at it, it's because Singapore's so small, you do kind of get that big character syndrome. So when you're in the spotlight, it feels like, wow, this is me. And, and the fact is we're a little red dot. It doesn't really matter at the end of the day. It's just little Singapore.
Yeah, it is little Singapore, but being the big fish in the small pond can come with a lot of pressure, I can imagine.
It can, but I mean, I think you have to make a choice. If you want to be that big fish in the small pond, then you have to take the heat.
Yeah.
If you're going to put yourself out there, you got to take it.
Yeah.
And that's what I believe. If you're going to, I think that's probably the most important thing.
Are you officially retired, by the way, from the sport? Like, are you?
So right now, I mean, I wouldn't say no to a race, but yes, I'm a former race driver, and there was the next pivotal moments of tagging myself to who I am, because it then became a job presenting. I found my way, because as a presenter, and especially in Asia, when you're mixed or you're Asian, it was fashion, makeup. We didn't even have podcasting back then, I was, what is that? That's where it became strategic. And I kind of thought, okay, well, there's no other females, and there's probably only one or two jobs really around. How do I get into that?
So smart.
And you knew what you were talking about because you've been there, you've done that.
Yeah, and my peers were incredibly harsh on me. Like, that thing you said in that interview doesn't sound quite right, didn't get right terminology, And a lot of it was trying to be smart in the way I learned. I might not have necessarily understood at the beginning, to be honest. Sometimes the best way to do it is the laziest way. And I say lazy in the way is that I didn't sit there and study car parts and the bolts and nuts. Some things that's, like my husband, he'll just know everything. He just does because the interest is there. Yeah. It's not because I'm interested, but to have that 20 years or lack of knowledge compared to him, it's hard. So what I did is I used to go around to all the pit lanes. I would ask them all the questions and write down all the answers, and then go back in my interviews and be like, okay, I heard that your car and this was happening, what's going to do. And then I'd actually go and I did better homework, of course. I would look up videos. How do they talk? What kind of questions? What sounded right? And then plus all my peers just to get there. So a bit fake it till you make it moment.
And we've had a lot of those. And I feel like it works because, you eventually figure out what you're doing and you do make it.
Yeah. And I do feel like that's still research, by the way.
It's
a different style. I hear you. It's almost like that left brain, right brain thing, right? It's like maybe you weren't reading a book or typing in a search engine to figure, but you were talking to people in the industry. And I feel like.
Correct. Yeah. I was trying to find the best way so I would sound correct. I mean, you don't go into a pit lane and go like, tell me about the color of your car. I'd be like, well, this year's livery is like, tell us about your sponsors. I kind of like amped it up and like try to use the right terminology. Yeah. So I didn't sound like a Wally on TV and people like call me out and be like, oh, there she is. Like,
and the reality is, as a female, they would call you out harder. Like you said, no question. They'd be like, see, this is why, females shouldn't commentate this sport or whatever. It's like that sexism definitely exists.
It does, sport. But there's certain parts of it. When you said in a male-dominated industry, when I was pregnant with my first child, up to about 7 months old, I was still working. I mean, a big part of me, I didn't want to lose my personality, and I love my job so much. It would only come around every 3 years to be a presenter in a pit lane for like a GT race. So I said yes to the job. And I carried on all the way, running up and down. And to be honest, I was like, oh, I can still do it. But internally, when I saw myself on TV, because I'd wear a baggy shirt. And first pregnancy, I didn't look too big. But I kind of felt like, you know what? I don't really want to see a pregnant woman on TV around the cars and stuff. I personally felt that, but not for any reason. Yeah. And then the second pregnancy, I was like, you know what? When I back off, get to 6 months, it's not so visible still, but why don't I chill for a bit? Like, if they want me, they want me. If they don't, they don't.
Absolutely.
And they still do because you're still doing it, right?
I'm still there. So,
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amanda, can we talk about how clean Guzmini Gomez's food is? Like, truly clean, not the it has lettuce, so it's healthy kind of clean.
Oh, totally. GYG is on another level. There's no preservatives, no artificial colors, no weird additives. It is just proper, real food.
I read that they went through 21 versions of their corn chips before they found the one. Now that's commitment.
And they fly in their avocados and tomatoes daily from Australia to Singapore. That is the level of commitment I want in my food.
You can taste it, whether it's the burritos, the bowls, or those Chipotle seasoned fries. You just feel good after eating it.
And it's really why my entire family keeps going back. Clean is the new healthy, and GYG has been leading that charge since day one.
They've literally reinvented fast food. Who says it has to be dodgy and deep fried? Not on GYG's watch. So another thing you love to do is triathlons.
Triathlons.
Yes, you've done triathlons, you've done Ironman.
Do I love it?
Well, you do a lot of them.
Yeah, I feel like you are forcing yourself to love it at some point. Yes.
Yeah,
at some level.
I'm still questioning some of my things that I do. Well, I love parts of it. I love cycling.
Yeah.
There's no regrets, anything in my life. Yeah. But if there's one thing that I wish I could have done, is that started cycling younger, to have been exposed to cycling. I love it. I think I would have been a great cyclist. Yeah. I'm definitely a kind of person that has hyper focused amongst all my other moments where I get also hyper distracted, everything else around me. But yeah, I wish I could have cycled a little bit longer in my life, but I've always loved running. I was an ex-runner, did nationals when I was younger here in Singapore when I moved. And swimming, I love the ocean. I love swimming. Training, not so much. But the thing about me is that because I really don't like it, I don't know if I could almost say hate, it's a strong word, but I force myself to go and join these competitions that have it because I'm thinking maybe there's a way that I'll learn to love it, like signing up for a 3,000 meter swimming thing in the ocean. I'm like, maybe I can get good at it, or
How many have you done now?
Triathlons I started in 2015.
Okay.
And it was
so
just
10 years.
It was like a random thing. And that's just because of the cycling and running. I could swim a bit in the ocean. I was okay. It wasn't serious. And I got serious about 4 years ago.
Okay.
Just, I think after I knew that I had coaches for racing and cars and stuff like that, I realized you need coaches for everything.
Yes, you do.
Coaches, data. And because of the racing, I love data. A lot of people ask me, but what are you going to do with that data? I'm like, does it matter? I like it. I love know where I'm at, where I'm going.
Yeah. I started my career as a triathlon coach. So that was my first kind of gig in fitness. And so, it was back in 2015. This was back in like 2005. Okay. So, but point being back then, we didn't have Strava and we didn't have Garmin's. No. We didn't have, so like my data was spreadsheets.
Wow.
And my clients thought I was such a nerd, right? Yeah. Cause I was like, please tell me, or, like your volume for this week. And then I would like input, and then I would generate the next week's training based on their volume and pace. And like, and it was so nerdy back then. But I do think people are using tools like this now to be much better in this sport, and the data is so much more accessible.
Yeah.
And AI is only going to just continue to do that for us. Tell us about your coaching. Obviously as coaches, I'm like, okay, I want to hear, tell us about your training and then how your coach programs for you, because you are a busy mom, because you are also doing all these other things, right? So your athletics can't look like everyone else's athletics, I assume.
I know, absolutely. Yeah. I'm always trying to find my placing in it, in and out. I think because my personality, I'm the kind of person, I think you would know being a coach, you've met so many people where I can't stand it if it's like a 9.86 kilometers. I need to get to that 10.
Exactly, 10.0.
Like it has to be, like it would just irritate me. So everything that I do, even with the coaching, even I feel like, even to now, I'm still having to undo things of my personality, of the rounding up and stuff, like when my body hurts and stuff, and stop it. With the coaching, I love it so much because it definitely gives me the accountability. I need it. I have a very unstructured mind. And I struggle with that. I struggle with daily things, like on a daily life, away from sport, I feel quite scattered.
Okay.
And I just have a brain that's just nonstop talking. I have nonstop conversations in my head, and my husband laughs at my processes. He's like, what? Like to move some clothing, there's like 10 processes to get there. And he's like, I was like, I just needed to explain this process, why it takes 2 weeks to do something, like certain things, like, So with the coaching, I love it because the accountability, it's my actual meditation. I don't pick up the phone. I won't even talk to my kids. They have to get out of the room. It's one thing that I'm really strict about. The actual coaching, I find, is very trial and error to find something that works with you and can work with you. I have just gone in blindly sometimes going like, okay, this person's asked me, do I want to try that? And I go ahead of it. I'm quite easy going that way. And as long as they give me a plan and they talk to me and we can set some goals and they're quite open about it, that's probably how I find my coaching. I don't have like a structured, I don't go down looking for the best and the most accountable, because sometimes the best also means there's more people there. So am I going to get, but I'm always open to trying new things and new people. The coaching gives me a way, because my plans are sent to me like every week.
Yeah.
So I get all my information of what I need to do, I guess, to hit certain amounts and times a week. So I guess it'd be anywhere between, I think 8 hours is the minimum, to like 10 hours. And when it really reaches up to some of the bigger competitions, then it's up to like 14, 15 hours. Anything above that, I think you're pro.
Yeah, pretty much.
You're pro. If you got to 20 hours or you're a national athlete. I don't have that time. I did it the year before. I was hitting 14, 15 hours. I didn't go out, didn't do anything. It was no, sorry. I was a wet blanket. And it's great. I can actually say that I'm no fun, but I
I'm no fun.
I wasn't fun. I wasn't what Fun Claire was. Stop drinking. I just all the fun things that I got. I wasn't social. I think I really tried to open up last year and tried to add in a few more elements of letting go. Because I'm not going to the Olympics or anything. I'm just, but I'm also, see where the unstructured part comes with me is the saying yes to certain competitions that pop up. Oh, do you want to join this? You want to do this? And also being in media, people want to give me slots to try things and do things. And I'm like, okay, sure. My problem is I'm a yes person.
And then you realize
I had a lot on my plate. I had a lot on my plate last year and I had a lot of injuries, and you don't really account for mishaps. I had some crashes last year, ribs, injuries,
I remember seeing those pictures.
Hematomas, and you don't account for that, but I kind of had to work through them. This year I'm in a different headspace. So I still have my coaching, but I'm trying to be a bit more fluid, and I felt like there was a lot of pressure on myself last year because I had so much competition. And then when I went for the one competition at the end of the year that was quite special, I was super relaxed. I was like, I just want to enjoy it, because I was just done for the year, and really you only get a month off when you're doing Ironmans, when you're doing other like triathlon competitions in a year.
What events are you doing this year?
So this year, interesting, lots of random things. I've always been an advocate to try new things. Always. I always want to do new things. Last year I did, I think, I can't remember, 2 or 3 Ironmans.
What?
I only
full
want
Ironmans?
3
full
Ironmans plus the Meta Sprint series. What did I do? I think I did some other random things in between that. You have the Singapore Triathlons, and usually that's because beginning of the year you have the Meta Sprint, you have like your Ironmans mid-year. And now as I understand the competitions and the structures and the traveling, and if you want to go to the World Championships for Ironmans, which is end of year, you need to do certain competitions at certain parts of the year to get slots for this year or next year. Like for me being an unstructured person, it's been a struggle to structure everything because if I want to be a certain place, this year I am going to probably attend the Desiree Ironman again.
Oh, awesome.
And I think part of that will be for media, but also I just want to have another go at the running section uphill, and I just want to conquer that a little bit. I feel like I've got my swimming a little bit under control now. There's the World Aquatics Championship coming. Wow. So shout out for that. And there's a masters category. And I am nowhere near some of these amazing swimmers. I have like some competitors who are ex-FINA swimmers, shout out Mel Speed, amazing athlete swimmers. Like I am just so in awe of her speed. And it's just phenomenal. And it's technique, years of training. I will never get to that, close as that, but
never say never.
Well, I'm inspired to take part in that, and just that, like I said, it's love-hate with the swimming. But I've been invited to join in that, like a 3,000 meters for that. So I thought,
just a casual 3,000, guys. No worries.
Not my thing. So I'm all about wham bam, thank you, ma'am. I've always been a sprint.
Are you though? Because you're doing Ironman, and I just want to clarify, because I can't assume that all of our listeners know what this is. It's a 2.4 kilometer swim. Okay, and again, open water usually.
No, so that's full Ironman. I do half Ironman.
Oh, half Ironman.
I do half Ironman.
Okay, even so
half Ironman.
1.2 kilometers swim.
1.9 kilometers swim. cycling is 90 kilometers and then you do a half marathon. So can you imagine double that for an Ironman?
Yeah.
Everybody keeps saying to me, do the full, but I don't really feel the need.
Yeah.
It's more of the case of being 12 hours by myself in my own head.
Yeah.
I don't want to spend 12 hours with myself. Like that would do my head in.
Yeah.
So how long does it normally take you? Does it take you the 6 hours or?
Between 5.5 to 6 hours
Bloody
to six,
hell.
6:15, somewhere. Depending, each course is different.
The half Ironman distance was what took me out of triathlon, by the way. That was my last and final race. And I was like, that is too long. Because I was Olympic forever. That was my love.
Yeah.
You know, fast.
I love that.
But slow enough to get a pace. Because like sprints are just not a thing. Like that. And you know,
It's just all out, empty the can.
101 is weird. I loved Olympic. I loved the consistency of it. I was like, this is great. And then I did one half and I was like, oh, that's not great. And it was in California. So, you know, talk about hilly. Hilly
Yeah,
girl.
it is. That's one of the hilliest places.
Yes. And part of the run turnaround was on the sand. So they had us run laps for a half marathon.
That's so hard.
And part of the laps were in the sand. And I was like, this is
That's not fun.
absolutely,
Yeah, no, it
I was
doesn't
like,
sound fun. I don't
this
think I
is
could do it.
torturous. I was like, why would you lap this course? So anyway.
Yeah.
It's,
Well, that's-
course makes a whole big difference,
It
doesn't
does.
it?
And
Yeah.
every year Ironman, I think they do feedback on certain courses to see where they can. Like the Desiree, I know that the year before I was with a bunch of guys who had done the year before and they're like, we've done this, but it was 3 laps, but I think it gets
Okay, it was
quite
laps, isn't it?
repetitive and they changed it to 2 laps, but it meant adding an extra distance in, and this was a giant hill.
There you go.
I actually don't mind hills. I actually love hill cycling.
Wow.
I'm one of those people, I love it. I don't know, I love the push. The running, even though it's painful, I still love it. Yeah, this is so I feel like for me it's a weird thing because I don't like it. I feel the urge and pull to do it.
There's that competitive nature of it.
Yeah.
But I think it's very personal in that way, you know.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I mean, how much can I train till I'm good and then I run out of talent, as we say. You know, where do I run out of talent? And up to that point I still am finding myself at, you know, 42 years old.
So you've got 2 kids.
Yes.
Our boys are besties.
They are.
So cute.
How has your mindset changed since having kids, especially when it comes to fitness and also your career? Has there been a difference or would you say it's still the same?
There's parts of it where I refused to let go, which was very naive at the beginning, but still very doable. Work-wise, traveling. My husband, I would say probably retired last year, but because I was also, above my own career, at the time racing, and then I was also traveling every 2-3 weeks for presenting and hosting, and then my husband was racing around Asia as well, so and I would be managing team, doing client stuff, and working together. It was the naive part was probably like, I'm still going to stick the baby on my back and we're going to go.
Let's go.
So I did Europe with him when he did Super Cup, which is in Europe. It was difficult. It was difficult because I'm on my own. I've got to make sure my husband has like enough sleep. He's got everything and still manage it and know that his selfishness for the sport, that I don't want to create any problems, any argues, any feelings, because it is about him.
Yeah.
And if I'm wanting to do that with him, I have to understand it's about him.
Yeah.
So it was difficult, but not impossible. The rest of it, the rest of the childhood stuff is interesting. I had to be a lot more organized. I was never an organized person, ever.
Yeah.
But I completely believe that with the organization, that when people used to tell me, wait till you have kids, then you'll see why you're late and why you do this. And so you know what I did? I was like, okay, I'm going to get ready 2 hours before and I'll leave the half an hour for the drama, you know? And I feel like things are just about excuses, giving yourselves. And I never want to give in to my excuses, which is also a problem because sometimes, Claire, you know, I think you're injured, or Claire, I think you're really sick. Like, you know, like it's not an excuse. I think you just need to rest.
Yeah.
Things did change with the kids and being a parent. I feel like with my racing, I learnt letting go of ego, letting go that even if the stars align on that day, sometimes just the hardware won't work. It's terrible weather. Same with kids. Everything was about letting go of ego. And each kid I had new ego. I had new ego because I was learning, how do I put it? When I was a first-time parent, I was afraid that it would ruin my image. Ruin's a harsh word, but I didn't want to even talk about that as a mother being while a race car driver. I was embarrassed, but I was like, oh, they're not going to see me sporty. I didn't like the mother image.
Yeah, because your identity was Claire Jedrek, this race car driver.
Yeah,
correct.
Former X Games athlete, you know, cool,
so
edgy, hard.
I feel like it was intruding into my image and people wouldn't see me. And it wasn't about being hardcore, but I was an outdoor person. And I think I had this idea, you know, people are saying sacrifice. And what are you going to do? Are you still going to do it because you're kids? And natural, I guess, 20-year-old Claire to be like, no, like that's not who I am. Stop judging me, you know? But to be honest, there was a lot of that. Second kid, I worked through that and going, you know what? It's okay to be a mother. It's okay to do all these things. In fact, like I think it's probably, I guess being in the media is a bit more interesting in that way because I can do it. Yeah. I can do it. It takes a bit of planning. It takes a lot of help. Yeah. I have a partner. It takes a lot of communication. It really put me through the paces of who I am today. I had to think. I went through a lot of process of, people like to say trauma of like childhood and things that we do. I don't really see it as trauma. It's part and parcel. I had a great childhood. There's things I don't like about what my parents did, you know, there's a lot of things. I think that was a gift for me, the things that I didn't like, and maybe had pain and anxieties from that now I can look back and go, well, if you really don't want that, then how do I do it now as a parent for my kids? You know, and there is a lot of working through myself. There is, you know, and I'm always working on it, of these random anxieties that I have about having that ball in my stomach, about just doing things, you know, but it's really been about pulling back and being more of like the joy of missing out rather than the fear of missing out, which was a big part of my life, and being competitive, which people, you know, always think I am. But it's because I just wanted to do everything, you know. And now I know that I can't do everything and it's okay. Yeah. You know, and I'm actually quite happy. I'm quite happy not doing everything. Do I wish I was doing lots of other competitions? Yeah, but you know, I really want to see like things like my kids' graduations, even if they're 5 years old. I wanna go see them do things and the joy on their face to know that I was there. Because there are moments in my life, though, my parents were working so hard, but I remember they were always there for all my competitions. It was breakdancing and this and that. They were always there for everything, you know.
That's another thing to your list, breakdancing.
Yeah, that was like, you know, you go through those moments of culture and like my
again, I
clubbing.
did not have a breakdancing moment, but but like I know what you mean.
It's funny because when I came from the skate park culture, a lot of them went into like the hip hop culture.
Yeah.
So a lot of them became DJs, dancers. I came from I did dance for a period of time and the performance. And I think that was just always part of my personality of learning something. It was just learning something and it was that athletic. Yeah, so that was just part of my random history.
Yeah, move your body and learn something at the same time, right? Which is cool. Look, I am never cutting carbs. They're part of my training plan and they fuel my workouts.
And I'm not exactly keto either, but I do have carbs. I want to enjoy them without the bloat, the crash, or that nap on the floor moment.
That's why we both rate the metabolic control routine from Avea Life. It's Stabilizer, which is designed to reduce post-meal glucose spikes, with NMN to support cellular energy.
I honestly feel more balanced after my meals. Less fog, more focus. It's subtle, but you feel it.
If you're trying to manage your energy and feel a bit more steady, go check it out. Use code FORMULA20 at avea-life.com for 20% off.
What would you say to women then who are in their 40s who might be struggling with this identity crisis, you know, where they have always been, you know, someone who goes out, says yes, and now they're mothers and they're feeling overwhelmed? What would you say to them?
You know, it's so easy to say, just let go and stuff like this. The only thing I can say is that I really believe, in all honesty, of that one life. I know if I don't let myself go of certain things that I want to do or an image and stuff like that, the moment passes. Yeah. The moment goes, you know, and, you know, you come up with questions of mortality because I'm getting to the age where I have friends dropping dead, who are having problems, who are doing things. And I know through conversations, I'm more of a person who does deep conversations rather than the general Hi, what are you doing? You know, I struggle. That's where my anxiety lies.
Yeah.
It's weird as a presenter, but that's me.
It's hard though, isn't it? That little small talk.
Yeah, I'm really bad and anxious about that, even though I'm in this line of work. Talking to friends and having deep conversations, when mortality comes up, I really do think about, if, God forbid, something happened to me tomorrow, what would have I done?
Mm-hmm.
And could I just leave knowing that I did these things and I tried, even if I failed?
Yeah.
Who cares? The judgment is only myself. Nobody's judging me, my family, my friends, random people especially.
Yeah.
But for mothers out there, you know, it's hard. If you don't give yourself a break, you kind of get trapped in emotion. And I used to bring my screaming child out with me. In fact, both of them. And I would get messages being in the media like, I don't know how you're bringing your child out. I haven't gone out the house for 2 years.
Yeah.
I'm a person who is highly active and like out there. I can constantly move and think and do things. I've had moments of panic attacks, which I think I'm finding out more and more people like me have them.
Yeah.
The people who do a lot of high impact stuff and who can just like in times of like drama and turmoil, I just seem to work. Like I can figure things out. I'm really good in emergencies. But there's a weird side to me because of age and hormones. I have to let go and realize I can't do these things. I can't be that person. And learning to be easy on myself and understand that my body has changed. My hormones have changed. I can't be that person anymore. And it's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay to be like that. And really, I think go back to your question, which was what I'd tell mothers, right?
Yeah.
I think just being honest with yourself.
Yeah.
Say you need the help. Ask people around you, even if it's a friend, I need a break. I need to get out of here. I think the communication between partners is massive. A lot of the times I would think, how come he's not planning this? He's not doing this. I would have these inner, I would say, feelings of like jealousy. And I was really honest with my partner going, I'm sitting here 8 months pregnant, feeling like a whale. You're achieving all these things. I'm doing nothing. And not every partner is going to say this, I know. But he was, for a person who believes in drink concrete, Claire, you know, suck it up, like you'll be fine. Like, you know, a person who didn't understand what panic attacks until I had them. It was a whole new game for him as well. He said some really kind things to me. He said, what is wrong with being just a mother?
Yeah.
You know, I get emotional thinking about that now because I didn't expect that from him. And he was like, why is it not achievement being a mother? Just a mother.
Yeah.
You know, and he's like, you wanted this so much. It's okay. It's okay to be nothing else but a mother. It's all right, you know? And it really took away my feelings of like, oh no, I'm getting emotional now.
Yeah.
Like the jealousy and all these things. And maybe it's a whole motion of things, you know, but it also because I tagged my career and everything to who I was before. And that's ego chasing, you know? With that, it's just, like I said, be easy on yourself. You have to let go of certain things. I never see things as a sacrifice. Don't think you're sacrificing who you are, what you're doing, your work, your family, and that. I personally don't like to use the word sacrifice because it's a negative connotation. It's just a choice. There's a time and place for everything.
Yes.
You know, I personally don't, I'm very careful, and I've said this before about doing the things about being inclusive for women. Like when people go, oh, how are you doing sport? How are you trying to run a business? How are you being a mother and being there for all their things? I do not feel like you can have it all. You can't.
Yeah.
You can't. And it's okay. It's just you've got to plan when you want to do it at a certain time.
They always say, right, you can have it all, just not at the same time.
Yeah.
And that's the reality.
It
you can
is a
have all the
reality.
4 things you just mentioned. Absolutely. In your life, you can have those.
Yeah.
But you cannot operate at 100% on all of those all of the time. And to expect that is ridiculous, right? Yeah. And like you said, you know, something when you were talking about like, you don't have to sacrifice, like sacrifice is not what makes you a mother.
No.
This is something that I feel very strongly about. It's like, you are a mother, you are not a martyr.
Yeah.
So you giving up yourself in the name of your children is not something that you need to strive for. Like you can let that go.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah. I love the motto of it. Like, yeah, absolutely.
Like that doesn't make you a better mom, or it doesn't make it, that's not the badge of motherhood. It's like, look what I gave up. It's like, no, look what I created. All these 2 and 3 and whatever, all these humans, but also my life. Yeah.
To be a home mom and homeschool, no effing way. No. Me?
Literally
like,
the hardest job.
I'm very impatient. I have patience, but also I'm very impatient.
Yeah.
You have to be of a certain personality to be able to do that. And hands down, I couldn't do that.
You want to talk about structure, girl? So again, at least we send our kids to school and school gives them a structure. Can you imagine you are the school and you are giving the structure? It's so intense. Those homeschooling moms get like absolute mad props from this side of the table.
Yeah, I can't do it. I just I couldn't. And also, I just want that distance.
Yeah.
I want that distance because the kids learn more. I think they peg their emotions to us. And so do we.
Yeah.
You know, because I feel like you can do better, like, you know, and I totally understand as a parent now why you do that. I have to hold back. Now I understand why football matches get punch-ups and stuff. I see like before I'm like, these hooligans, like, you know, look at this, it's terrible. For the first time in my life, I knew, Claire, don't say anything, don't get too involved. 7-year-olds playing a friendly game. Yeah. My son is not particularly like the fastest. He's learning and he loves it. He likes the team. He's so sure. But I'm out there after 10 minutes. I found myself going, and you usually be like, calm down, Claire. Like, whoa, like that's a bit loud. And I was like,
I'm that mum too, and I don't want to be. I don't want to be, but it's just something comes over me, and I'm like, oh my god, I am shouting from the sidelines, and I need to be quiet.
Yeah, so judgy about soccer mums. I'm one of them. Of all people,
it's become me.
Yeah, you know, I'm that person, and I totally get it. You know, like, but yeah, I need that separation.
Yeah,
for them, for me, and I definitely am a better person for the teaching, for my time to go away, and it's really difficult in the beginning. Both kids at 3 months, I disappeared to go and do my work. I purposely took the job because I knew I would get sucked in to wanting to be with them all the time. And people ask me about mum guilt. It is always there.
Of course.
Never goes away.
Yeah, just because we're not martyrs doesn't mean we don't feel the guilt.
Yeah.
You know, but I have good reminders around me. Yeah. Like when Yui goes, look, you're at a job. There's no point thinking you're there for 5 days. You're there. You have to put your 100% focus on being there. I'm like, I know, but I just, you know, the think and the thought. And some moms have told me, don't worry. Don't worry about it. They're really not going to miss you. And actually, the ones who would judge me more were dads.
Yeah.
I've got some of the harshest comments from men.
Yeah.
As much as I love men.
Yeah. How could you leave, right? How could you?
What kind of a mother are you?
I've had random guys said, you know, 2-3 years old, it passes. I don't know why you left and left them so young. I remember random telling me, and we were just, he asked me, you know, about it. And I was a bit like taken aback. And then, you know, I was like, it's a bit full on.
Yeah.
And I was like, whoa. And I just didn't feel like the need to explain myself because I wanted to take that job.
Yeah.
And you know what? And to be honest, I do have expiry. I have an expiry, and it's the truth. I don't care what you say. I have an expiry in my industry. I have an expiry because for marketing, they can't use the same person always for 10 years. Yeah. You know, they're going to have recycle of people in for new hosts, for fresher, for certain brands where that brand is going. Yeah. They need a refresh. Yeah. I have an expiry date. So I want to do it. I want to take this opportunity because I know it's going to pass. Yeah. And that's a selfishness. Yes, I'm selfish, but that's okay.
But I think everyone has to be.
Yeah.
Because if you don't do anything for yourself, then where are you going to be? Yeah. Everyone's just going to walk all over you.
Yeah, and then the resentment builds, and then, you know, there's a whole different path that you can walk. You know, one of the best piece of advice that I've ever received that I still think about to this day is like for working moms and working moms who are also doing athletics. Be where your feet are. So when you are training, when you are on the bike, you are on the bike. That's where you are. You are not thinking about the 10,000 things your kids have to do for their school project. You are not thinking about work. When you're presenting, you're presenting. You are professional, Claire. You are doing the things that you're passionate about. When you're with your kids, you are their mother. 100%. You're not looking at a screen. You're not on a phone call. And I think be where your feet are is the best piece of advice that has.
Oh, these bumper stickers! I love it.
When I catch myself, you know, when I catch myself.
These all on t-shirts, like
right?
We need to do this.
Yeah, but it's like because it is easy to kind of like even when you, like you said, you're confident being in those places and having that part. you can feel it start to bleed, right?
Yeah.
You can feel the kind of like edges.
Yeah.
You know,
I
when
get
you're
cracks.
with,
We all, you know, I get these little holes in the dam, and once they pop,
Yep, and then
sometimes the dark thoughts just go whoosh.
Yes. Yeah. And again, the panic attacks, right? Like that's what makes the opportunity for those emotions to run wild is how difficult it is to navigate all those identities.
And the thing is you don't have to just have one identity.
No.
You can be Claire Jedrek, the racing car driver.
Yeah.
You can be the triathlete. You can be mum. You can do all of these things. You can be a friend. You can be a wife, you know, and you don't need to just be that one person. So it doesn't need to be a struggle, a fight. You can do all of these things.
Yeah.
Unpegging myself previously to the whole race driver thing. So it was COVID, like many people. COVID came about. I got pregnant when I'd actually gotten, I suppose, like chosen for a job for racing. And then I found out I was pregnant. It was very difficult for me. I cried. Didn't tell Yui for about a week that I was pregnant.
Oh my gosh.
Because I had so much to say. It was a job that I had gotten in a short amount of time that would have never been given to most people because they should have been in racing a lot longer. And I somehow managed to get there. And then when I found out I was pregnant, I wanted it. It was unplanned a little bit. They say unplanned, but I mean, you're an adult, right? So I mean, you do adult things. So, and that was really difficult. And when COVID came around, I had to make the choice. I said, do I want to spend 12 to 15 hours a day in a garage? It's not glamorous.
Yeah.
There's nothing great. I mean, other than training and being there, putting your headspace where my feet were, 12 to 15 hours a day in a garage and doing that in and out, and me traveling up and down Malaysia for years. Like, it's just sweaty, hot, food's not great, like in a lot of places, having to pre-plan. I was tired. I almost had a crash on a highway. I fell asleep at the wheel. It was very pivotal moments. You have no idea for me. Like, I've had things where I need to really assess, what am I doing? Because I was always doing that. And when COVID came around, I was like, do I have that drive I've had for the last 4 or 5 years to go racing again? Unfortunately, COVID stopped it because we couldn't travel. So I had the 2-year break.
Yeah.
But it really was a moment for me to go, to really sit and think, oh my God, if I don't do this racing, what am I then?
Yeah.
Can I still be a presenter for things? Does that mean I'm not relevant? You know, because I've always been the race driver, automotive, Formula One and stuff like that. What do I do? And so that's where the next pivot for me, and about when I link back up to what I first said about survival and careers and pivoting and all the different things I am. A lot of people have said, oh, you're kind of jack of all trades. You keep putting your fingers in the pot and sticking them in different things. Or, you know, that really isn't longevity, because they always talk about depth. Because a lot of us, we're taught depth. Do something for a long time.
Become
do something
a master
for a long
at
time.
it,
A master. But I feel like the master of none thing has been an opportunity for me, because I've been able to take skill sets. And even though I don't go as deep, I go deep with skill sets over time, but I've been able to have breadth of skill set, and it has allowed me to pivot and give me the confidence to know what works for me and how to do it in a different job set. And you see that in industries.
Yes.
You'll see somebody who works, somebody who's from maritime who will go over to something else completely random, the CEO of, but it's because the skill set hasn't changed, you know, in that way. It's just a different topic.
Yeah.
So I feel like in today's world, especially now more than ever, where things have changed, information, internet, AI, like having the skill sets, soft skill, communication, which is where I'm trying to put my children through, and their education and stuff. I feel like somebody who's had an alternative career, and my husband's had a super alternative career. He didn't do uni, the only one in his family, and seeing how he, with skill sets and communication, soft skills, how that has driven us and putting ourselves out there, that has been actually more important.
Pun intended, driven.
That has kind of driven us and allowed us to pivot into all sorts of random other things. I think that's, for me nowadays, that's a bit more important, and I feel a bit more confident of just now waiting on, okay, what's my interest? And now I have a bit more time and breadth to go, okay, what do I really want to do? And how can I find my way? I'm to be honest, I'm that person who doesn't really know now. I'm in my
where it takes
it's
you.
It's happening. I'm in my 40s, and I feel like there's a big pivotal moment again. Like, oh, what's happening? What do I do? And I'm trying not to be I'm trying to take it in and go, yes, I'm still presenting, but there's other things I want to get into, and it's never too late to keep doing it.
That is so true. It is not, I'd say that's something we definitely stand for here at the Forties Formula. It's like 42 is not old.
When you think 42, like when you look at the movie, you think 42, you see these glasses, their hair,
Yes.
but then I look back at pictures and my parents are 42 and no, they look really youthful still. Not too 42, that's the same age
Still
I'm
in the
now.
game.
The kids. And I look at us now in our 40s and I think, oh, honey.
We're still young.
Yeah.
So young.
So different.
Yeah.
So, we're not golden girls. We're nothing like the golden girls.
And with wisdom.
Yes.
All right? So,
Right.
age and wisdom. Let's go with that.
We are actually coming to the end of this interview, which has been absolutely amazing. So thank you, Claire. But before we go, we do want to ask you one final question. And that's, what's your 40s formula? What piece of advice, mantra, anything you would like to share with our audience about how they can thrive in the 40s?
I'll stick to what I said just now. I would say just try everything once.
Yeah.
Try absolutely everything for once, whether it works out or not. If you don't try it, you will never know. And I think that's probably the most important thing, especially as you get older, to keep trying different things. And I feel like that's the formula for youth, especially for me. And I'm not chasing youth. I just feel like I want to keep on learning. And that's probably the gist of it. Just keep on learning. Try everything once.
Definitely. I mean, imagine if you never tried chocolate.
Yeah.
How would you know how good that would be? So you definitely should try everything.
Chocolate, Iron Man, same.
It is a little bit for me.
Oh, thank you, Claire. It's been amazing.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you so much.
One thing that comes up a lot with the women I work with, and for myself too, is insulin resistance. It becomes more common in our 40s, and it can show up as energy crashes, stubborn weight gain, sugar cravings, and just feeling off.
Yeah, and it's not just about what you eat. It's about how your body responds. Even women who eat well can feel those dips in energy or mood after meals.
Exactly. I tend to eat low carb most of the time to manage that. But I also think there's space for smart support when you do want to have carbs. That's why I rate Avea Life's metabolic control routine.
It's a combination of stabilizer, which includes berberine, chromium, and white mulberry leaf water extract, and NMN. These ingredients are known for supporting healthy blood sugar levels and energy metabolism.
It's a thoughtful way to support your body when you want more flexibility with food, especially in midlife when things can shift.
You can find it at avea-life.com and use the code FORMULA20 for 20% off if you'd like to give it a go.
Guys, you know we love coffee. And if you want to show us some love, you know you can always get us one.
Just visit buymeacoffee.com/the40s formula.
Cheers.
Before we go, please remember to hit subscribe and take a moment to support the 40s Formula by leaving a review on your favorite podcast platform.
Your reviews will help us to reach more people and allow us to continue to bring valuable content. It should only take a moment, and it's a free way for you to support the show.
You can also stay updated with the 40s Formula by following us on Instagram at the 40s Formula, all one word. We share behind-the-scenes insights, episode updates, and much more, so please be sure to hit that follow button.
We appreciate your time and support. Thank you for being part of this community, and we'll be back next week for more empowering conversations with inspiring guests.
Bye.
Bye.
They do this now,
Yeah.
and they do this.
Oh,
these
my
ones.
days.
Yes.
These ones, okay. I've seen.
Is anyone
I've
still
seen
doing this
that
one?
I find
Yeah,
that one really
that's the
odd.
Korean one.
It's a
All
bit
the young
weird.
kids
I don't know, my
do
kids
this.
love that. My kids love this one and that one.
They do this one. I've done it both ways.
I've not seen my boys do it, but maybe it's because I don't know.
It's mostly Charlie, not a boy thing.
Yeah, I would say it's definitely Louise, and then Archie tries to do it and he never can, so he's like,
Yeah. They always tell me to join the hut.
Oh, that's cute.
oh, cute.
Join the hut.
Wow, I feel like I have arthritis. I can't.
Yeah.
Oh no! Don't try. Don't do it.
Don't dislocate
Yeah,
any more
seriously.
fingers.
Yes,
God.
leave it.